Building the world's next breakout brands and bringing together the founders who are not just the participating in global markets, but they are actively shaping them across continents. Let's welcome on stage Mate Pence, who is the founder and CEO, Loft Brazil, joining us here on stage. We have Ren Aito, who is the co-founder and CEO of Sakana AI Japan. Prateek Gauri, who is the founder and CEO of 5IR UAE, and this session will be moderated by Sanjeev Magat, who is the Senior Executive Editor, ET Now and ET Now Swadesh. All of you, please join us on stage. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Building the world's next breakout brands. We will begin the session now. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Let me start with you, mate. You're from Brazil. You're looking at the real estate sector from a technology point of view. How do you see technology bridging the gap with respect to the entire property and the real estate cycle there?
First of all, thanks for having us here. Great to be here talking about the decade of disruption. And I think a lot of us here are looking at this from different angles. In our specific sector in real estate, I would say it's never been more exciting than today to be building, because you're looking at a sector that objectively is the largest asset class in the world. Real estate is by far the largest asset class in the world, yet it's one of the most analog, most offline asset classes or sectors in the world as well. So building at the intersection of real estate and technology, at the end of the day, if you take a step back, we're really trying to fill a trust gap. Why is this industry today so offline? It's so offline because it relies on a lot of human trust. It relies on a lot of human interaction. So in large part, what we're doing at Loft, and having started this in Brazil, having expanded it across Latin America, and having an ambition of taking it to other parts of the world over time, is really combining the best of both worlds of digitization, of AI native technology solutions, and at the same time, human interaction at the interface where it most matters. So integrating brokers, integrating real estate agencies deeply into the process as well. But at the end of the day, it's really about leveraging technology to help close a trust gap, which, especially in emerging markets, is still very much sort of the biggest void. It's table stakes in a lot of places like the US and Europe. Trust has become less important because there's more of a kind of default trust environment. But if we look at places like Brazil and places like India as well, there's still a large trust gap to be filled. And I think our role as technology players is to try and close this gap.
Ren, you're from Japan and you're running an AI company. You started off with foundational models and then you pivoted to products, fintech. What led to that pivot from being in foundational models to product-centric approach here?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And I think we are not completely pivoting from foundation model to the application. But the point is, if I may build on what Mate says, whenever we are talking about AI, we are talking about AI in general. But my approach is that whenever we are talking about AI, we have to specify which sector you're talking about. Of course, if the artificial general intelligence comes tomorrow, it will be sector agnostic. The real estate, e-commerce, medicine, maybe like a one superpower, like a God level AI can solve the entire problem. But it's not a case at this moment. At this moment, the foundation model is great. ChatGPT, Anthropic, whatever is excellent. But still, even if you're using ChatGPT for, let's say, the loan application or finding whatever your favorite real estate, it doesn't work automatically. So what I'm saying is that it's not something like an application layer guys can do to help the foundation model. But the foundation model guys have to go into the application layer. We, as a foundation model layer, have to run extra miles, not just being complacent about making excellent models, but we have to do more. We have to do more by specifying a specific industry sector, in our case, which is financial sector and defense sector. With the financial sector, we started by automating a loan application process. So whenever you have this SME loan application, mortgage loan application, banks are using thousands of bankers, the junior and senior and the very senior, to analyze those applications and making a decision whether to approve or disapprove that loan application, on what condition, what covenants. Even if you're chucking in the entire bank data, your personal data, your company's data into the ChatGPT, bank cannot make that decision of approving or disapproving a loan application. It needs more integration. You have to pick up more the unwritten rules, know-hows. It's a combination of the sector domain knowledge and the AI expertise to actually deliver the complicated problem.
Pratik, you look at blockchain very closely. How do you see this technological advancement coming in, and how blockchain can bring in some kind of continuity or bridge the entire gap here?
So if you look at the way blockchain has been progressing, right, in the last few years, I think it's already permeating into multiple industries. Right now, one of the biggest things is if you look at fintechs, right, most of the banks are now embracing blockchain, whether it's putting most of the stocks on the chain or using the technology primarily because of its innate nature of being transparent and innate nature of, you can't delete a record once you entered the record, right? So there are multiple use cases. One big use case is stable coins, for instance, right? The market's gone into now trillions of dollars. And if you look at the use case of stable coin, that's actually permeating into almost every industry because you don't need to wait. If you look at cross-border payments, you don't need to wait for a couple of days to receive remittances or to send remittances. You can do it instantly. So those kind of use cases now are actually visible in almost every industry. And I think integrating AI and blockchain, I think that looks like the future of fintech, where because of blockchain, the transfers are going to be extremely fast, extremely secure. And on the other hand, because of AI, you don't need to understand what the technology actually does, right? For a 60-year-old, they don't need to understand what actually it does, but you can just use the technology to send and receive payments and to actually invest into other pieces. And with AI, it makes it easier. The front layer becomes AI, but at the back end, it's going to be blockchain. I think that looks like the future of fintech.
Matt, property tech is a very asset-heavy structure, and you're trying to streamline it through technology there. How do you see, if I were to ask you, the biggest debate today going on globally is an Anthropic or any other AI is disrupting the traditional IT sector. Do you see there is room for both traditional IT services and AI fintech or products together to work together?
It's a good question, and I think that it kind of comes to the root of how complex some of these industries are. In particular, real estate, we're talking about an industry that, especially at a local level, but even if you go kind of to the country level, is extremely complex. There's a lot of idiosyncrasy in kind of how the process works, how the integrations with banks and other players work. So we actually see a very sort of best of breed and best of both worlds combination, not just in real estate, but other large sectors as well, be it healthcare, be it crypto. We're applying a lot of these agentic models that are working really well, but are fully disseminated and to some extent commoditized, and applying them to these specific, very complex problems. So for our industry, we actually see the complexity and the asset heaviness and sort of the idiosyncrasy of the industry as a large advantage, because building to those idiosyncrasies and building solutions that are very specific is something that, in our view, the agentic models help us do our work, but won't necessarily be the ones solving those problems. So I do think that there's a massive opportunity at the application layer or at the platform layer, applying agentic models and bringing those capabilities to the end consumer, be that a small business, be that a enterprise client, or be that, in our case, millions and millions of home buyers, home renters, and folks looking to finance. if you just take the mortgage process as an example, it's a process that today has 180 plus steps before you actually get a mortgage disbursed by the bank. So going all the way from finding the home that you're looking to buy to getting a mortgage disbursed is a multi-step process that, by the way, involves a lot of physical visitation, involves you looking at the home. So I think that that's a process and a value chain, again, where agents can speed up and take out a lot of inefficiency, but you're not going to be resolving the entire problem end to end just by putting a chatbot to it.
Then, fintech is doing a lot of stuff here, but if you look at from a regulatory point of view, how easy is it for AI to be used as a tool, given the fact that you have financial regulators who will have a lot of restrictions, who will be very apprehension because there could be systemic risk which is going to come in. Do you see one model to work, or it will be a customer to customer or client to client?
Yeah, probably like this question is going back to what Amate says about 100 different steps in a real estate agency, for example, real estate industry, for example, because there are lots and lots of steps and procedures and rules. And what you have to capture or what you have to differentiate is that there is a written rule, like the manual. Every entry-level bankers are giving this 50-page manual, how to do the mortgage loan application, how to examine the mortgage loan application. My question is that 50-page manual enough? The answer is not enough. And then, how do you learn? The younger bankers are learning from the senior bankers, looking at their day-to-day business, talking with the customers. They are trying to pick up the know-hows, which can be said as an unwritten rules. But more than that, it's not just an unwritten rules, but some nuances, some condition depending on the situation. So you have a whole lot of complication about how to deal with one single business line. It's a combination of a written rule, unwritten rules, know-hows, your own discretion. How can you teach them to the AI? Written rule, fine. You put the written rule in the AI, prompt engineer, and then the AI starts to understand what that is. But you have to do two more things. One is you have to collect those unwritten rules or know-how somehow from the human being, from the human bankers, and then verbalize that, and then getting that into the AI. Because it's an AI who is learning this rule, the manual doesn't have to be condensed into 50 pages. 50 million page manuals are fine, right? Because you are not teaching a human banker, you are teaching AI. So the you collect a lot of know-hows, verbalize that into 50 million pages, and then teach that to the AI. That's still not enough, because it's not, the rule is not always comprehensive. Occasionally, human beings are exercising their discretion. They understand the nuances, and then which cannot be verbalized. And then a good thing is about the AI is you don't have to verbalize everything. As far as you teach the AI the correlation between input and output, without questioning, AI learn what is the right results. Imagine you're driving a car or you're sitting in a passenger seat. Some of the drivers are excellent. I'm a horrible driver. Can you verbalize why my driving is horrible? You may try to say, this guy like brake 2 times within 20 seconds, so the rule have to be this and that. It's impossible. The only useful feedback I want is this driver is a good one or bad. And then if this driver is a bad one, AI learn not to replicate Ren Ito's driving, right? So it's a combination of the many different things. You have to teach AI to be smart.
Pratik, how did you move to sustainability first blockchain? Because there are gaps which is there in Web 3.0. Which are the gaps that led you to move to that direction?
So if you look at, two types of consensus mechanisms that work in the blockchain, one is proof of work and the other is proof of stake. So when you look at proof of work, it requires a lot of energy. So if you have more energy than me, meaning like if you have more computers than I do, then probably you get rewarded and I don't get rewarded. That's how Bitcoin probably works. And the other type of consensus mechanism is proof of stake, where if you have more money than me and we are two validators trying to validate a block on the chain, there's a higher probability you get rewarded and I don't, which takes you back to the old traditional finance system that the rich keep getting richer and the poor still keeps getting poorer, right? So what we came up was a sustainable proof of stake model where we've given a weightage to sustainability, and that's why we call the company Fifth Industrial Revolution, where you make money while you do good. So we wanted to make sure that the world moves in a direction where if you are doing good to the world, you make more money. So, just to give you a small example, for instance, if you are an electric vehicles company and I'm a diesel company, right? And we are two validators in our blockchain. So there's a higher probability that you get rewarded and I don't get rewarded because you get points for being more sustainable. So this was we spotted this gap pretty early that the way blockchain is progressing, once it permeates into every industry, it needs to be sustainable for it to survive, because I think the next wave is going to be humanity. I mean, of course, AI and blockchain is great, but then humanity needs to stay at the center of any technology. So that is why we came up with this.
Guys, the final round of questions. Matt, if you can take us through, where do you see the adoption of AI being much faster, emerging markets, or is it going to be the developed countries?
Well, I think it's disseminating everywhere extremely quickly. I think that I do believe that a lot of the software level problems in developed markets have been resolved, whereas many emerging markets, not all, but many emerging markets are still in the process of digitization. So I think that the adoption curve of AI in those emerging markets where we're still seeing digitization ongoing will be an even steeper adoption curve. So my prediction is that countries like India, countries like Brazil, all across Latin America are going to see extremely rapid adoption, also because consumers are much more digitally native than folks in developed markets. So if I had to kind of predict the curve, I would say that emerging markets are going to see even more rapid adoption of AI agents, also because there's so many more inefficiencies across the economy on average than what we're seeing in developed markets.
Ren, in the financial markets for emerging markets, do you see these markets, leapfrogging a generation to adopt them much faster than the developed countries?
Absolutely, because like leapfrogging is a key in adapting to the new technology. And I think whenever you say the digital bank, it's only about some nice user interface, user experience. But now the banks are branching out to like including like consumer financing, the second-hand, the car financing, and so many different areas. And then the integrated solution by using AI. And then this will be only empowered and ensured by the AI will be of crucial importance.
Ritik, do you see blockchain getting used much more in the industrial and manufacturing sector in some of the emerging markets?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the manufacturing, right now there is a lot of leakage till the time from manufacturer to the retailer. So I think the whole system need to go on the blockchain. I think a lot of fashion brands have already started to do it. A lot of watch brands have started to do it to prevent counterfeits. Even in healthcare, to prevent counterfeits, I think the whole manufacturing would ultimately move on the blockchain. So that's obviously, I think, already started to happen.
Gentlemen, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.